What lengths would you go through to chase your dreams? Imagine from rural South Africa all the way to New York. Hi, my name is Lazo Labele, and this is the Daily Stories of Africa. Today we feature a young lady who takes us through the journey of a mother's life, from being a rural girl to being in New York chasing her dreams. Now, the one thing that I like about this story is that here is a young lady who is remembering her mother and almost internalizing her as a person for the first time.
Make some noise! Adidi!
She was dazzled by the bright lights, by the fame, by the music, by everything glamorous about Joburg City. And at 17, she braved the cold, took a taxi to the city of gold, all alone, leaving a very worried and concerned mother behind. My mother was one of 12 kids, and the only one who had a different father. So you can imagine how difficult it was living in that house. Not only was she the only one with a different father, she was the outcast, the yellow bone, the light-skinned one. And so she took the brunt of jealousy from her siblings, more her older sisters, who felt she thought she was better, who felt she was a nobody, who felt she didn't belong. And besides being dazzled by the city lights, the bright lights, the promise of a better life in the city of Joburg, she left. Not only did she leave the struggle and the strife behind, she left every insecurity and everything that made her believe that she was less than. North she went to the city of Joburg. She was promised a place in observatory where a cousin's aunt was living, working as a live-in housemaid, well, helper. After 2 days of living there, the helper complained and said, "The bosses are complaining. You have to leave. You have to find another place to go." And off she was off on her own in the big city of gold. For 2 weeks, she lived on the streets of Joburg, living in bus stops, train station toilets, feeding off whatever she could. And one day she made friends with some of the nightlife people who were able to introduce her to a new way of surviving in Joburg. In that way, she boozed and danced the night away so that she could sleep during the day. Not the most comforting thing, but eventually, she remembered why she came to the city of Joburg, why she was dazzled by the bright lights and the fame. She wanted to be a musician. So one day, she did one brave thing. And she went to the recording studio of one of her favorite artists, someone who was from her hometown. I can't remember the guy's name, but he was quite big back then. Somehow she managed to talk him into letting her backup dance for him, never being a dancer herself. But somehow it worked. And from there, she fell in love with music, with being in front of the mic, and then eventually with theater. This young lady's name was Unompetesho Pinky Malundana Fihlani. And she was able to be introduced to theater at a young age. At 18, she acted in some of the city's biggest plays. And She traveled, she toured, she did everything a young person who's dazzled by the city lights, by fame, wish they could do. And she became a star. Maybe she was a nobody in the grand scheme of things, but she was somebody in her community, in her way of doing things. And eventually she had 2 daughters, Phumzile, Tracy and Phumla. Now, being a mother kind of slowed her down, made her rethink and re-evaluate her life. So she set new goals for herself, but she didn't leave the old ones behind. She was still going to be a musician, still going to conquer the city of gold, still make something of herself. And so she raised her 2 kids in the city of Joburg, in the beautiful, pristine city of Hillbrow. Now, many people don't know this, but Hillbrow happens to be many people's favorite place. I know a lot of people are attracted to it by the architectural splendors and the warmness of the community, but many are repulsed and appalled by the criminal activity and the litter and everything wrong with it. But I can tell you now that Hillbrow became an interesting place for a young, ambitious woman to live with 2 daughters. And off into the world, she was ready to conquer, ready to be somebody in the grand scheme of things and not just in her own community. One day, living in a small bachelor apartment with her daughters, she decided to sell off everything she owned so she could buy a ticket to the USA. Why? To find herself a husband. Can I tell you who? Mr. Puff Daddy. When she got to the USA, she was less than surprised by how difficult it was to track down Mr. Puff Daddy. She did everything you can imagine, from cleaning the floors of many big stadiums to babysitting for some famous people. I actually went through some of my old stuff one day and I discovered a book called How to Meet Famous People. Yes, someone actually wrote a book called How to Meet Famous People. She bought it, and was she successful? No. But she came back with new lessons. And back to the city of gold she came, ready to conquer the city of gold, ready to be dazzled and continue dazzling her 2 twin daughters. Of course, she was a tyrant. She was a Taurus. How could she not be? So she made it her job to mold, to build, to groom her kids to be just like her. Strangely enough, somehow it happened. Now, one day, as she sat rethinking and relooking at her life, she realized that she'd set her goals way too high and maybe missed too low, hit too low. And that's when she decided that she was going to pack up her dreams of becoming an actress and start directing to make a bigger influence, an impact in her community. So off to theater productions she went, and off to television productions she went, to make something of herself and maybe leave behind a legacy for her daughters. Now, for someone who came from nothing and was adamant to make something, whatever the something was, she did her best to make that home a home like she never had before. She made every effort to give her kids everything she never got. And one of those gems sat right in the heart of Joburg, the Johannesburg City Library. Fortunately for them, they lived a few streets away from there, and every once in a while they'd frequent the library. Well, not every once in a while, every day. And once in a while, they had the opportunity to take the books home if mom was willing. She had a library card and she could use it at will. So it was a wonderful thing when they could take books home. And one day, it happened that the girls were turning 9 years old. And when the girls turned 9 years old, lo and behold, they got library cards for their birthday. Now, for young girls who were brought up by the library, this was a life-changing moment. It meant an opportunity for so many things, that they could end up being like the tyrant that they were raised by. And as time went on, it became an apparent reality that sometimes things don't happen the way you want them to. That dreams seem to fall through the cracks. That once glistening mirage becomes so far away to reach that it's better to let it go and maybe even let yourself go. So the young lady, she'd once again pack up her dreams and let them go. Right in the city of her dreams, in the city of gold. It's not an easy decision to make, but she did. But she didn't do it entirely. I think she remembered her mission and her purpose in life, which was to enrich the lives of others. And while having given up the dreams of fame and glory, she managed to find a new home, find a new way of dreaming, of believing. She became a motivational speaker, a mentor in her community, someone that the young kids could run to. And I remember at one point, our home felt like a motel because we always had people sleeping there. So one day, a week after my birthday, Unompeteshe passed away. And leaving behind with her all the memories, all the goals, all the dreams of a young girl who was dazzled by the city lights and the city of gold to make something of herself. She might not have realized her dreams the way she did, but she left two people behind to live out her legacy and live on their lives the way she'd molded them. So I stand here before you saying I'm a product of a woman that I, for a very long time, was afraid to say passed on, because passed on or died was not something that I could imagine for someone who had so much life and so much spirit, so much soul, so much sass. But I'm a product of Unompetesho. And one day, I'd love to be able to tell you that because of her and her sacrifices, I made something of myself. Yes, I'm from the city of Joburg. I was born, bred, broken, and built by the city. This is my home and I'm claiming it. If you need to know where I live at 111 Berea Towers in Berea, and I'm proud to say it. Took me a very long time to have the courage to, because for a very long time as an outcast, as someone who doesn't belong, as someone who's had to earn their place in the world, as someone who looks up to Unompetesho and realizes that there are people who came before you, whose shoulders you stand on, who've done everything in their power to give you the best they could so that you could do better and leave behind better. You have absolutely no reason to be ashamed to be afraid. Yes, fear creeps in every once in a while, but I can tell you, I'm ready to face it. And as we look on, and I think about it, Unompetesho used to believe in the inner child, and she'd look at you in the face and say, something is wrong with you. Your chakras aren't aligned. What's going on? Nowadays, I ask myself, in situations where I find I'm not as strong or courageous or fearful enough, what would Nompetesho do? Where would Nompetesho be? Has she done all of it for nothing? No, I don't think so. So, looking back, I feel nothing but gratitude, and I'm grateful to the bright lights that dazzle the young woman from Elusigisigi, because today she's put me in a better place to do what I need to do for the people that need it the most, and myself included. This is to Nompetesho.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Tracy. What I like most about her story is just the sheer sincerity in which she's telling that story. How she opens up about the flaws of her mother, the flaws of her upbringing, but also reminding us that if we continue to chase our dreams, a beautiful life emerges either way. So please follow us and subscribe on YouTube, and make sure that you tune in every day for our daily stories of Africa. See you soon.
For the evening, and just to close off the night and the session, does anybody from the audience just want to talk about the whole session, like what they felt, how their experience was?